Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Ruck along with Chip Nellinger with Blue-Reef Agri-Marketing. While we're seeing mixed trade in the livestock futures, cattle pressured. We're mostly higher in the hogs, but a higher day in the grains. And Chip, let's talk about this. Dry forecast, Drought Monitor expanded the drought, and off we go in this weather market.
Yeah, all about the weather. Obviously you don't need to, you know, look at the weather models themselves. Just look at what prices do. Shot higher in the overnight, following through with strong gains here in the morning, and it's all about weather. It's too hot. It's too dry. The heat's coming back in these extended weather models, and we're adding some risk premium as we speak to both the corn and the bean markets.
Yeah, and I talked to a very noted meteorologist this morning that has called this basically a flash drought.
Flash drought, and their drought monitor shows that it just slowly has increased every week. Now the majority of corn acreage, I think what mid 50s, 56, 57% now in a drought, and it's the wrong time, right? So we're going to need to see some rain. A lot of areas of eastern Iowa, Illinois, Indiana have only seen a couple tenths of rain here in the last several weeks, and it's been cool. That has helped us, but now the temperature is pushing back up. I know Central Illinois is going to be at or above 90 today, and the extended weather model has heat coming back. So that's a bad combination as dry as we've been here.
Do you think we're losing yield at this point? I mean, can we hit that 181 and a half USDA has us projected to? It seems very uncertain to me.
Seems very uncertain to me as well. The problem with June dryness is the market has a really tough time, and you just honestly you don't know yet. If this extends into say the July 4th holiday, which comes during the middle of the week this week or this year, then I think there's no question that we're too dry for too long, and you're not coming back, even if the rains materialize. So I think that's what the market's trying to grapple with. Obviously, we've added some premium to that. The problem for the bulls is going to be going forward. Even if we're dropping yield out of the corn, they're going to take any yield cut in the future and offset that partially with demand drops, in my opinion. So the bulls are going to have a tough go of it trying to get this, earth shattering cut in carryout. But right now, the funds have been short. They're probably out of that short, maybe slightly long in the corn now. And so it's all up to the funds. They want to build a big long position here going into the July 4th holiday. And it probably depends on what the forecast says coming out of this long holiday weekend this coming Tuesday.
Yeah, part of this rally obviously was some short covering by the funds, at least in the corn market. Let's talk technically. Above the 100-day moving averages for both July and December corn now. If we close above these levels, where does that open us up to technically?
Yeah, you not only you got the moving averages there, you've got some other resistance levels right here in the low to mid 560s, about where we stopped so far in the corn market. If we can get a close, say above 565 tomorrow and push higher next week, I think you could quickly be up towards say 585, 590. To get north of 6, I think is going to take a real turn for the worse and essentially just no more rain into the first half of July. That may happen, but my point with that is, as you go forward, we're at some pretty intermediate term resistance in here. It's not impossible to get through, but if we do, likely I think that comes next week, and your next stopping maybe is in the mid to upper 580s.
What about soybeans? Are you a little surprised that we've had this much of a rally this early? That's usually an August crop, or have we seen this just because, the stock situation is still pretty tight there?
Yeah, I think I have been surprised, number one, that beans really have kind of led us. But then you look at a soy oil chart, you look what's happening with the crush report today coming in, a couple million tons or a couple million bushels above the average estimate. Soy oil stocks below the lowest estimate. And so there is a demand story there in beans. Also got some news that the Argentine bean crop estimates out of Argentina continue to drop. 3 to 4 million metric tons below what the most recent USDA estimate is. And you can see why that the bean market is getting responsive early on to this dry weather. Beans are really short. I mean, we've put beans through some dry weather in the past, but they've been knee high, waist high. They are very short, and it's just uncertain what the dry weather is doing to yields, but the market's kind of taking an aggressive approach and not waiting and seeing at this point, assuming that we may be in for some small yield reductions off of that top end estimate.
I'm glad you brought up soybean oil because the whole veg oil sector is pretty much on fire right now and pretty much in a tear. So we've got July soybean oil now back above the 100-day moving average. What's the upside there, and can it continue to pull soybeans along with?
Yeah, I think it can, and I think the soy oil market of a year and a half ago proves the old saying wrong. The old saying used to be, you can never have a bull market in beans led by soy oil. It has to be led by soy meal. Due to some production shortfalls, particularly in the palm oil, growing part of Southeast Asia, that was proven wrong. Now you've got the biodiesel issue really getting into full swing in here. And so there is a demand story here from the vegetable oils. Throw in Argentina. Their drought means they're not going to, export nearly as much soy oil or soy meal on the market. So you have a real story in here. And the short answer, being long-winded, is yes, soy oil can continue to pull beans higher. And there is some upside to this thing. It's just getting started, even though it's been straight up. It might not be straight up from here. You may have corrections along the way, but if beans continue, it could be led by soy oil. If this demand continues, there is definite upside in the soy oil and the vegetable oil markets across the world.
So technically, we took out the resistance areas that we couldn't get above on Tuesday now. Soybeans above the 50-day moving average. Where do we project to now?
Yeah, well, again, it gets a little tough here because of the weather market. Sometimes in a weather market, you can throw out the technicals because they don't
True.
matter as much. You really are right now into a pretty good level of resistance on beans. Basically, right here in the 1270s up through say 1285. Above there, I think it could quickly be approaching 1320 range, give or take. But again, ahead of a long weekend, I'm not sure you see that tomorrow. I think traders will be a little bit cautious ahead of a long weekend and the potential for a weather pattern change with an extra day of no trade, that they may not press it tomorrow. But next week, if we don't see improvement in the forecast, they could quickly see $13 plus beans and somewhere close to 590 on the December corn.
And we were so bearish just a month ago, obviously. So are you telling folks this is a second chance rally that they need to be selling into, and how much?
Yeah, great question. It's hard to answer that. It's impossible to answer that. It's case by case because crop insurance and different people in different areas, are vastly different on the crop insurance they took. So that is a huge part of your risk management plan. Yes, I think it's an opportunity. And if there was ever a market to use options and puts, this is what it was designed for. You're able to lock in a floor, still have some upside, and not commit to physical bushels. So to answer your question, yes, I think it's a second chance. We're at resistance. The funds have shown how quickly they can flip in and out of positions. If we see better rainfall in late June of the first half of July, then we're going to correct this sharply lower. So it is an opportunity. The percentages are different for each individual depending on
Yeah.
your crop insurance coverage.
So is wheat just a follower, or is this some profit taking?
I think it's a follower, but technically, we're 10 trading sessions away from the end of a quarter. The funds have been short a massive amount of wheat for months now. And so if we can close the Chicago market, say north of 650 tomorrow, really the line is kind of about 646 and a half. You close above there, it's going to be a new higher high after a higher low. And the funds may finally hit the exit button and give us, maybe a little gas on the corn side too. I think we're right on the fence. We've been that way 5 times before, and they keep hammered on the short
Yeah.
side. But I think you're right on the fence to where they're going to come out of some shorts here into quarter end.
Let's wrap up on cattle. We're down here today. We've had a pretty good correction off of the highs. Are we done correcting? Where do we need to hold here?
Yeah, again, I don't know if we're done correcting. I think that there's people waiting in the wings to buy a break. Again, quarter end coming up here in 10 days, 10 trading sessions. Funds have a massive long position. So it's likely logical that the longs are going to take some money off the table here. But I think the breaks will be bought. I think the swings will be getting a lot bigger here. Whereas before we've been straight up $2, $3, $4 a day pushes higher. I think you're going to start seeing $8 to $10 swings. So just to pinpoint exactly where the break is going to
Yeah.
come, I'm not sure. I think if you got it $2, $3 lower here than where we're trading, you're going to uncover a lot of demand, and that might be a good place to try it from the long side again.
Gotcha. All right. The futures discounted cash obviously should hold us together to some degree, and the tight supply. So hopefully we'll get some at least steady cash this week. All right. Thanks for joining us, Chip Nellinger, Blue-Reef Agri-Marketing. That's Markets Now.